This is the pre-calculus chapter 4 test review, and we are on number 12, which is asking us to graph. And the first thing it's asking for is the amplitude. Something that I've noticed, even if the front number is negative, your amplitude is always going to be positive. So think of it as the absolute value. My amplitude here is a 2, which means the height, both going up and down, will be a 2. I can't really figure out the period or the midline until I've actually graphed it. So let's think about the order. Let's always start at the inside and work ourselves out. This right here tells me I'm going to be moving to the right 90 degrees, which is also known as pi. I'm sorry, right 180 degrees, also known as pi. And then what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to multiply my y values by -2. All right, so let's start out with, let's look at cosine. Cosine always starts at 1. If this is something that you have difficulties remembering, my recommendation is go to your calculator, type in cosine of 0, and it will equal 1. So you know right here at 0, cosine will be a positive 1. Let's go back and finish. Notice I'm only making the dots here because this is where it should fall if it was just a regular cosine graph. But I'm going to have to shift it to the right and then multiply by -2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look at each one of these points one at a time. So I'm going to label this 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to start on point number 1. And I'm going to move right 180 degrees. So from 0 to pi, because it says move it right pi, and then multiply by -2. Well, right now I'm at positive 1. 1 times -2 gives me -2. So this is star 1. That's going to be my new first point. Let's go to my second point on my original cosine graph. If I move it over a full pi, boom, I'm going to end up on number 4. 0 times anything is 0. This is going to be my second. Let's start at number 3. Pi plus pi is 2 pi. 2 pi. -1 times -2. Now, where am I getting that number from? Because at this point, if I were to move it over, I'm currently at -1. -1 times -2 gives me a positive 2. So it's going to shoot all the way up here. This is going to be my third new point. Now, just by looking at this, you always want to kind of curve it because these are a sine wave. Now, if you notice, I'm going to start falling off my graph. I won't be able to graph that 4 and 5. But what I can do is see the pattern. It's going to come back up. Now, here's where we need to be careful. It's not going to go to the positive 1. Our amplitude is now 2. It needs to have a height all the way up to 2, whether it's positive 2 or -2. So if I have to take this all the way up to a height of 2, it's going to have to hit all the way up here to that positive 2. Now, the period means if I were to look at the pattern starts here, goes down, and comes back up. And this is where my pattern is going to start to repeat. So notice it goes from 0 to 2 pi before it starts to repeat. So the period is 2 pi from start to finish. The midline is where it cuts it in half. Notice that my height is up to 2, my height is down to -2. That means the middle, if I were to cut this in half, is right here. And notice the y value is 0. So the midline is where y equals 0. It's where it cuts it in half. And that is how you would graph for number 11 and 12.